StrayAllDay.com.
Tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of wait for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is, we are on part 2 of 6 scary things every entrepreneur who is serious about moving forward must do. So first of all, let me remind everybody, I send out a text message every day, guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day. I call it the daily motivation. I send one out every week called the Monday motivation. It does the same thing for your week. My number to get that text and to join my text community for free is 305-384-6894. It is down below, listed in the show notes. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That is the only place you can work with me directly. It's the only place that I do any coaching of anyone. If you want to be one of the select few who gets coached directly by me, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Link is down below in the description. Secondly, and also, I keep saying secondly, I already sold you 2 things. Also, when it comes to Work on Your Game University, when you go over there, we'll give you an opportunity to schedule a call with us free of charge so we can talk about where you're at, where you want to go. And if we feel you'd be a good fit for what we're doing and we feel like we can actually help you, then we'll tell you how that works, what it will look like, and all of that. Again, that's at workonyourgameuniversity.com. All that out the way. Let's get into this. We're picking up right where we left off at point number 4. Part 2 of this 2-part series. Scary things every entrepreneur must do if you are serious about moving yourself forward. Number 4, raise your prices and ask for the higher price. Now, I touched on this a bit in yesterday's part 1 of this series when I talked about eliminating your low value clients and customers. This one is also about you just feeling comfortable asking for more than what you're asking for right now. See, raising your price is one thing, and asking people who are paying a lower price to pay the now higher price is a completely different thing. So if you have people who are paying you $10, you want them to pay you $100, are you willing to have that conversation with them and say, well, I'm raising my price from $10 to $100? All right, that's the deal. And then you can give them your reasoning and whatever. And then you ask them, hey, are you okay with going up to $100 with me here? All right, can I, your next charge is going to be $100 instead of $10. Are you willing to have that conversation? This is where many entrepreneurs come up short, the second half of this point here of, again, you raise your price for someone who never knew about you. They only know you to have a $100 price. That's one thing. But someone who knew you at $10, now you're asking for $100. That's a different thing. That's a different thing. It's another one to go to someone who's grown accustomed to where you were and now tell them this is where I'm at because you just decided that that's where you want to be. Are you willing to have that conversation is the question. And it is said that the level of a person's success in life has a direct linear relationship to the amount of uncomfortable conversations that they're willing to have. And we can say potentially uncomfortable conversations. Because listen, some of your clients might say, "Oh yeah, no problem. I'll gladly pay you $100. I'll pay you $1,000. But if you only ask me for $100, I'll give you $100." Now there are some who are going to say, "What? $100? That's crazy. I can't even afford. I could barely afford the 10 that I'm paying you right now." Are you willing to have the conversation that is potentially uncomfortable for you and the people to whom you are speaking? Most entrepreneurs are not willing to have this conversation, and it's the reason why many entrepreneurs find themselves stuck in a situation of their own making, i.e. their own businesses, and find themselves stuck in holes that they themselves had dug. This is why I told you what I told you in part 1. Eliminating those lowest level clients. Again, not necessarily eliminating them from being in your world, but you eliminate that lowest level investment so that you can find out who wants to step up and who doesn't. And if they don't, that's completely fine. It doesn't make them bad people. They make a choice. And if they want to leave, you got to be okay with that. And the question is, are you okay with it? If you want to move yourself forward as an entrepreneur, you must accept this point. Point number 5. Today's topic, once again, is 6 scary things every forward-thinking and forward-moving entrepreneur must do. Number 5, get better at public speaking. Yes, get better at public speaking to move yourself forward as an entrepreneur. Now, some of you are in roles where public speaking is a big part of what you do. You do live events. Maybe you got a show like a podcast or a YouTube channel. Maybe you are a professional speaker where the better you are at speaking, it will help your business, at least in some ways. It's not the entire business, but it'll probably help you a good amount. But some of you may be in businesses where you're like, what does public speaking have? How does public speaking have anything to do with what I'm doing, Dre? I own a hardware shop. All right? I run a dog grooming business, Dre. I write fiction novels, romance fiction novels. What the hell does public speaking have to do with me and what I'm doing? Now, listen, while you may be great at doing things the way that you're doing them, your ability to communicate one to many, that's what we call this. So one to one is like me and you having a conversation. It's just one person talking to one person. One to many is when one person speaks to a bunch of people at the same time, which is what I'm doing right now. So for example, Work on Your Game Masterclass, but we do roughly a little over anywhere between 100 and 200,000 listeners every single month. So every time I record an episode of this show, I'm talking to thousands of people at the same time. That's one to many communication. Now I'm doing it digitally, but I also am referring to you doing this personally, being able to talk to multiple people at once. Why? Because this allows you to scale your results. In other words, you can get the same message to a bunch of people at the same time without having to say it to each person individually. So I can get one message to 1,000 people at once by recording a video or an episode of this masterclass rather than having 1,000 one-on-one conversations, which would take a lot of time. Now, this applies across the board in every industry. If you can do one to many, then you'll be able to reach more people. You run a hardware store. Well, what if you had a commercial and that just aired in your local town on a local TV network? Well, would allow you to reach more people and let them know that you exist? Of course it would. You have a dog grooming business. If you were to make some videos on TikTok and run ads just to your local area, would that possibly draw some more prospects to your business? Of course it would. Your ability to do it opens up possibilities for you. Ability creates possibilities. The better you are at communicating with multiple people at once, again, whether that be at a seminar or a conference or through content, anything, the better you are at doing this, written or audio or video, any one of those ways, any one of those opens up more possibilities for you. But you have to open up the possibilities by having the ability. All right, everybody understand? So this is all part of the game for all of you, again, no matter what business you're in. And any of you, this can be scary for some of you if you have never done any public speaking and you never even considered the fact that you might be called on to do it. Now, for some of you, this may be very comfortable for you, but the more situations you put yourself in, sometimes it may be uncomfortable because you want to do it bigger, larger audiences. Because again, this just gives you more opportunity to scale your output or scale your efforts rather, and your what comes back gets scaled as well. So the better you'll be able to serve multiple people through one message rather than one at a time. Now, while I personally am also a fan of working with individuals, if that fits your unique ability and what you want to do for your business, you also need to have the ability to communicate with a bunch of people at once, because I will also work with a bunch of people at once. I can train people in a group the same way I can train somebody one-on-one. But I want to have the ability. I want to have the options available to me, because if I can't talk to a group, I don't have public speaking skills. Well, I won't be able to train people in the group. I don't have that option available to me because I don't have the ability. Because what happens in business is that there are opportunities which allow you to leverage your time and efforts and produce a much higher return on investment with the same amount of investment as before. So you could put in 1 hour of talking and have a communication with one person, or you can put an hour of talking and have a communication with 5,000 people. Now, again, some people in that 5,000 might prefer to talk to you one-on-one. All right, that's fine. They just got to pay for it. That's all. They just got to pay the requisite investment in order to get your one-on-one time. If they are not willing to pay that investment, then maybe they'll be better with the group one-to-many communication. And the key to all of this, folks, is you got to be willing to stand firm on what you want. The key to any of this working is you got to be willing to, first of all, you got to get clear on what you want. And secondly, you got to be able to communicate what you want. And third, you got to be willing to stand firm on it, because not everybody's going to accept it. Some people are going to push back. Okay, your price used to be $1, now it's $10. What if I paid you $5? Are you okay with that? What do you want to do? Are you willing to negotiate and compromise, or are you standing firm on where you're at? Again, I'm not saying that you're right or wrong, but you need to be clear on what it is. And these are all things that you need to be thinking about as far as how you want to run your business. And again, all of this is with respect to where you plan on being and by when you plan on being there. Again, this is why I keep bringing that up. And this is why strategy is such a big part of anything you're going to do. For those of you who are serious about moving forward in your lives, and the reason why strategy is a big part of what we do in Work on Your Game University: mindset, strategy, systems, and accountability. Point number 6. Today's topic, once again, is 6 scary things every forward-moving entrepreneur must do. Number 6, say no to less than ideal opportunities that are presented to you. Goes right into what I just talked about. Dovetails perfectly. If you are serious about moving yourself forward in business, you have to be willing to say no to a less than ideal opportunity. I once heard Puff Daddy saying this. He was speaking at some event. He said he's in a negotiation and he wants $45 million. That's the number he wants. And the company he's in negotiation with offers him $43 million. And they're not willing to come up on the $43 million. And he has to be willing to walk away from that offer. He's willing to walk away from the 43 and walk away with 0 simply because he's standing firm on the 45 is what he wants. This is an example of saying no to a less than ideal opportunity. Now, it's easy to say no to a less than ideal opportunity if someone says, hey, I just want it for free instead of paying you. Well, it's easy for you to walk away from that. You're not really walking away from anything. You're walking away from 0. So you already had 0 when you showed up. Now, it's a whole lot different, though, when, let's just say, we put a more firm number on this. Let's just say you are a professional speaker and you say, well, my speaking fee is $20,000, and someone comes to you and says, well, look, our budget is we got $10,000 for you. Are you going to work with their $10,000 and just accept the $10,000? Are you going to figure out a way to make it work? What are you going to do? Are you going to walk away? What do you want to do in that situation? And these are things that, as a business owner, all of you need to have frameworks for dealing with this, because this kind of stuff is going to come up, especially when you start moving yourself forward in business. Now, if you just want to stay in the same spot, these may not come up as often, but they're going to come up still. But I'm labeling this series here as about people who are serious about moving forward in their business, because when you start moving forward, these are kind of things that you need to be thinking about ahead of time. These are kind of things that we would plan out ahead of time before you get into the situation. What are you going to do when someone comes up and says, okay, I see you want this, but this is what I have. All right, can you work with that? How are you going to respond? And you need to be ready to respond in the moment, not give me 3 days to think about it and come back to you. No. How about you be ready to respond right there in the moment? And this is the homework. This is preparing ahead of time. Any entrepreneur who's serious about moving up to the next level has to be okay with walking away. You got to know what your walk away is. Where are you willing to negotiate? Where they got to be in order for you to be willing to negotiate, and where are you okay with saying no way? We're not even having a conversation. Again, the numbers may be different, but the mindset is similar and is very important. Now, I've written many books. I've worked with traditional publishers. I've worked with in-house publishing, i.e., some you call self-publishing, published through Work on Your Game Incorporated. And I've told traditional publishers, since my first experience with a traditional publisher, those who I've spoken to since, told them, if I was to do that again, you're going to have to make me a Godfather offer. Those who know what a Godfather offer means, that means an offer that I cannot refuse. In other words, it better be a damn good deal. I'm not signing a traditional publishing deal. And I will not do that simply because I know what I know. So even though I haven't put a specific number to what a Godfather offer looks like, when I tell publishers that, they get my points. So they know that they need to make me an offer that is so good that I would accept it over the alternative, which I have, which is I can just publish a book myself. What I need you for? What do I need a publisher for? I got my own audience. I have my own platforms. Now, granted, my book may not end up in Barnes & Noble at the front of the store when you walk in if I don't go through a traditional publisher. But to me, does that matter that much? Well, that's the question. Because if it does, then I'll take the traditional publisher deal, get me in Barnes & Noble. If it doesn't, which many times it may not, again, especially when you have your own audience, because you can sell straight to your audience. You don't need to be in Barnes & Noble where you might randomly get found by somebody who has never heard of you. But rather, you can sell your book directly right through an email or a text message or a video or an episode of your own podcast straight to the people who actually want it because they're listening to you every day already. Again, why do I need it? But this is only possible, folks, when you have leverage. You know what your leverage is in a negotiation? Your willingness to walk away. You know what your willingness to walk away is directly related to? What other options you have besides the one that's in front of you. See, if you're looking at a situation that you don't like, but you don't see yourself having any other options besides the thing that's in front of you that you don't like, well, then do you really have leverage? Technically, you do, because you could always say, well, listen, I'll rather do nothing than do this. That technically can be leverage. But from what I see, many entrepreneurs operate out of a scarcity mindset, a sense of fear. If I don't take this, I'll have nothing, so I better take something. and it ends up being something that you don't even want, and then later on down the line resenting it and yourself and everybody else involved because you accepted something that you didn't want. So you know what kind of challenge this is, folks? It's not a strategic challenge, it's a mindset challenge. So you see how all this stuff works together? So you got to know what your walkaway is. What is it that you're willing to accept as the baseline level of what you're willing to accept? Where are you willing to negotiate? And again, you can apply the same framework to your customers and clients that you would apply to an outside entity wanting to work with you. So if you used to have a $1 product, but now the price is $5, and someone comes around and offers you $1, will you turn down the $1 because the minimum now is $5? Will you turn down the $1? Will you let that $1 walk away? Will you do it? Seems a simple question, but you'll be surprised at how many entrepreneurs are unable to let the $1 walk away. But if you want to move forward, you got to be willing to let the $1 walk away, even though they may not. The $1 may say, okay, all right, I see you standing on this. Okay, I'll give you $5. And sometimes the $1 person will say, you standing on this, I'm not going to give you $5. I'm going to walk away with my $1. Are you willing to watch that $1 walk away and not try to call it back and say, okay, I'll take the dollar? Depends on where you want to go in business. But all that said, let's recap today's class, which is part 2 of 2. 6 scary things every entrepreneur must do. Number 4, raise your prices and ask for the higher price. It's one thing when you have a higher price with someone who didn't know about the lower price. Another thing when you're telling someone who knew about the lower price and now there's a higher price and that's what the price is. Are you willing to have that possibly uncomfortable conversation? Point number 5, you're better at public speaking. This increases your options because abilities create possibilities, because now you can get your message out one to many instead of one to one. And again, this can be digitally, this can be in person, but your ability to talk to multiple people at once will just increase your possibilities for how you can get your message out and get your value to the people, more people who need it at scale. And number 6, say no to less than ideal opportunities. All right, if your number is you want 20,000, someone comes to you with 15 and they won't buzz and you won't buzz, or you willing to let that 15 walk away and take 0 simply because you're standing on the 20 that you want? This seems, actually, just even saying that is a challenge. That's a challenging question for some of you to answer. And this is rooted in mindset. It's rooted in the way you think. It's rooted in the way you see yourself. It's rooted in, do you believe you can go get that 20 from someone else if you can't get the 15 from these people right here? That's a mindset. If you have a scarcity mindset of, if I let this walk away, I'll never get this back, then you'll probably end up accepting the 15. So your price is not really 20. You get what I'm saying? So any entrepreneur who's serious about moving up to their next level has to be okay with letting someone walk away simply because they're not giving you what you want, and you're clear on exactly what you want, you're clear on why you want it, and also you got to be clear on your unique ability, knowing that something better will come along even if this one ain't going to be it. Knowing, not believing, but knowing. So what is it going to be for you? And this is something that you need to take time and think about and plan out and be ready to deal with, because this absolutely will happen, especially those of you who are in service-based businesses where your prices are extremely flexible. And businesses that sell tangible products, at least there are some hard costs involved. Like, all right, this is the baseline to get this car built. All right, so if we give you any more of a discount, we're losing money on the deal. But when it comes to service-based businesses like speaking, coaching, consulting, things like that, there are no hard costs. So your price is just a price that you created based on the value that you're able to communicate, which means it is extremely flexible by you. You can make it as low or as high as you want it to be. Are you willing to stand on it? That's the question. If you want to move forward in business, these are things you must be able to do. All of these. You must be willing and able to do them all. All that said, text me, see you in my text community. I send out the daily motivation every day, Monday motivation every week. My number is 305-384-6894. Numbers down below in the description. Also, Work on Your Game University. Any of you who would like to have me as your personal coach, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, schedule a time to get on a call with us, talk about where you're at, where you want to go, and if we can help you, we'll tell you about that and how it works. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, link down below in the description. Work on your game. Dre all